You've all decided on the 10 of hearts, yes? And so I'm going to replace your imagination with something very, very real. The 10 of hearts.
How did Dan Harlan fool Penn and Teller with the cartoon deck trick, even though the method is pretty well known among beginner magicians? Well, before I reveal the specific method he used in his performance, here's a quick recap of what actually happened. Dan started by having a card freely selected. He tossed a stuffed teddy bear to a random audience member and asked her to choose between the reds or the blacks. She selected reds. He then moved to the next volunteer, who freely selected between hearts and diamonds, and she selected hearts. For the value, a male volunteer was given a free choice from ace through king, and he selected 10, making the final card the 10 of hearts. He then picked up the deck from the table, removed the 10 of hearts, and flipped through the cards to show the stick figure animation taking off its top hat and pulling out a card, which turned out to be the exact card the volunteers had freely named the 10 of hearts. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure many of my regular viewers are familiar with this trick. It's a popular gimmick deck that many people come across when learning magic tricks, and even Jamie Raven performed it on Britain's Got Talent. But here's the thing. Jamie Raven performed for judges who had basically zero knowledge of magic tricks, so he used the classic method involving a gimmicked deck with multiple outs, which is the method most magicians commonly use. However, in Dan Harlan's case, who is actually the magician who originally created this trick, used a different method on Fool Us, rather than the one commonly used in the version sold by magic shops. To understand why Penn was fooled, despite having seen this trick countless times, it's important to be familiar with how the original cartoon deck works. Here's a quick overview in case you've forgotten the method or aren't familiar with it. The trick uses a specially designed deck, not a standard one. The cards appear normal, but each has two backs. One side shows Bob's animation, and the other side shows a different card, which is the one directly behind it. When you spread the cards, for example, to reveal a card like the 9 of diamonds as the card held by the animated stick figure, you actually need the card right next to it in the stacked sequence. So here that would be the 10 of diamonds, as it has the 9 of diamonds drawing on it. The move involves a modified double lift where two cards are taken as one, flipped out, and displayed to reveal the desired card. Here, you have to be careful not to expose the bottom card after putting the 9 of diamonds aside, as the 10 of diamonds would suspiciously be seen at the bottom of the deck instead of the ace of spades. Whereas, if you watch Dan's performance at the end, he actually shows all the back designs, proving this method does not match his original version. Furthermore, he actually gives a true free selection to the volunteer instead of using a magician's choice. In other words, the volunteer could name any card other than the 10 of hearts, and Dan would have still made the trick work. Whereas Penn and Teller were honestly expecting a gimmicked deck since they mentioned it in their code words.
In gambling parlance, to look for marked cards, you flip through them and it's called going to the movies.
Which is why they were fooled.
And you may not like this. There isn't anything unusual about the cards.
The secret behind this trick is, in fact, hidden in plain sight. Watch carefully at this moment as Dan's left hand goes underneath the table after the selection of the card is complete and finalized to be the 10 of hearts. After this, the deck is carefully pulled toward his left hand and something can be seen being loaded at the bottom of the deck. We know, based on the logic of this trick, that the very last card is supposed to be the card that reveals the playing card in the drawing. This obviously means that, after giving a free choice, an index was utilized. So, if you were to go behind the table and view it from Dan's perspective, you would see 52 playing cards that all have the exact same face, showing the ace of spades, but the backs of these playing cards are all unique, with different playing cards drawn on them. You can see him look at the index here, then reach for the 10 of hearts card with his left hand and load it under the deck. Furthermore, during the beginning of the trick, you can see he never shows the bottom of the deck because the bottom would show the 2 of spades and not the ace of spades. After adding the ace of spades that has the 10 of hearts playing card held by the stick figure, he can confidently spread through the deck without having to worry about showing duplicates. He pulls out the 10 of hearts, and although it may look like he's picking up 2 cards, In reality, the 10 of hearts is the only card that he outjogged at this moment and placed on top of the ace of spades. This whole fishy movement of replicating the double lift was only to convince Penn and Teller that he was using the same method as the original gimmick deck, completely throwing them off track and successfully fooling them. Behind this mask, only the truth remains till we meet again.